Hello. My name is Yoshihide Soeya, Professor of Political Science of Keio University in Tokyo. Today I'm happy to talk about three big questions given to me. One is Japan's response to the rise of China, both economically and militarily. And economically, China's rise, of course, gives opportunities. And I think people just forgot, but the important fact is Japan was the primary supporter of Chinese modernization programs since Deng Xiaoping's period, since the late 1970s. Japan was the first Western country which started to provide official development assistance as well as foreign direct investment to China. So Deng Xiaoping knew the importance of Japan. He came to Japan in 1978 as a kickoff of his very adventurous reform policies. So I'm not saying this is Japan's achievement, but the fact remains Japan was very important in bringing about today's economic success of China. But militarily, China has become very strong and still keep expanding its military expenditures. And I think in the end, the relationship between China and the United States will be most important in terms of military balance in East Asia. So there is some discrepancy or even dilemma between China as an economic power and China as a military power. And we don't have any solution to this, to be frank. It is a very important historic turning point at this moment because of this dialectical or conflictual dimensions associated with the rise of China. So this is a big issue, not only for Japan alone, but for other countries in the world. So I think my conclusion would be we have to cooperate, we have to talk together, and we have to cooperate together in dealing with this historic phenomena of the rise of China. I'm not saying this in a negative sense necessarily, but it's a huge challenge. And secondly, I think most of the people are interested in the question of the Senkaku and in the Chinese name Daoyu disputes. And this is a very difficult issue. I think largely because how China will deal with this question, I think will decide the future course of Chinese evolution. And sheer fact remains, China used to believe Senkaku Islands were part of Okinawa. There are documents, both in the government as well as in Chinese People's Daily, which talked about Senkaku as part of Okinawa. But since 1971, China changed its position without explaining much. But since then, 40 years have passed. And now Chinese people, as well as the government and the PLA, believe these islands are theirs, used to be there since ancient times. So the great challenge is to deal with Chinese logic, saying these islands have been Chinese since ancient times. That's their logic. And the rise of China should be welcomed and dealt with positively and constructively by many, including Japan. But our true feeling is we don't want to be brought back to ancient times with a risen China. So that is very difficult because this is Chinese psychology. They have full right to claim those things which used to be theirs for a long time, since then for a long time. And this kind of clash of logic between Chinese belief in the ancient times and other countries' beliefs in the modern history of international law and so forth, this gap is a very important gap. And I think what entails in this territorial dispute is, in essence, that sort of conflict. And so in that way, this is a very important issue, predicting the future course of Chinese evolution and as to become a responsible country in the world. And the third question, in response to this difficult situation, Japan is paying a kind of renewed emphasis on its self-defense efforts and self-defense forces. And we have so-called Article 9, which is why our post-war constitution is called Peace Constitution. And the essence of Article 9 is we cannot use force and will not use force to settle international disputes, aside from dealing with self-defense issues. And Senkaku Islands issue is clearly an issue of self-defense. Our national integrity is threatened, I would say, for the first time since the end of the war. Even during the Cold War time, Soviet Union didn't do this sort of threatening, military provocations vis-a-vis Japan. So it's in a way natural that we have to take it seriously, and self-defense efforts should be appropriated. But the important point is Japan doesn't have independent capacity to deal with massive military capabilities of China. We cannot deal with China alone. And that's why we need the United States. In other words, without the United States, without the alliance, what we do in the name of our self-efforts in terms of military preparedness would not make any sense at all. And so that's why U.S. will remain important. And so given the alliance, our self-defense efforts would mean something. I think that's the context in which Japan is trying to do as much as possible, but clearly not to the extent to be able to match up Chinese military capabilities. So those three questions, issues that I just talked about, are mutually related, of course. And the challenges given by the rise of China is perhaps most difficult for Japan as a neighbor, immediate neighbor. But over the long run, hope Japan will find ways to deal with this greatest challenge in history in cooperation with other countries in the world.